Okay, this is just a garden report. Very quick. Got these figs that have come on, and this is our spring crop. And let's see what we have over here. We have potatoes that I planted. Thought the frost would get them, but they didn't. Got several rows. They're white, red, and blue potatoes. And over here we have tomato plants. We have Mr. Stripey. These are really good tasting. And oh yeah, 8 of these tomato plants are yellow tomato plants that Vicky wants for her stewed tomatoes when she cans them this fall. So this is the last week in April, and over the last couple of weeks I've got everything planted. About mid-April is supposed to be the last frost date, and so that's what I go by. I don't plant, even though there's beautiful weather, I don't plant before that last average frost date. So often things get nipped in the bud and you got to start all over again, so I don't want to do that. Okay, so yesterday I cleared out all the mulch down to the dirt, and I planted a row, looks like it's about a 30-foot row of Charleston gray watermelons. And I also cleared out this stuff and planted into it, let's see, the Jubilee watermelons. And yesterday I also cleared this out and planted into it the Black Diamond watermelons. I had a really excellent crop of watermelons last year, and I'm hoping for the same thing this year. So you see all this wood chip mulch? Once you move it out of the way and plant into the dirt, it does really well. And we didn't have to water our watermelons last year at all, not even one time, down there in that patch. And as a result, I had a 48-pound melon and lots of 40-pounders. And that's kind of a quick rundown. Oh, I didn't show you real quick right here. Look at all our blueberry plants. Our blueberries, they're coming on really well. Got lots of these blueberry plants coming up here and over here. And I think Vicky's waiting for me in the car, so I better get out of here. But look at all these blueberries. Awesome for gardening this year. Being a gardener is a lot of fun. I especially like gardening the way we're gardening now, which I didn't do for 40 years, and I wish I started earlier, but I started about 2 years ago to do the wood chip mulch. And it does such a wonderful, stupendous job. And let's see if I want to turn this around. Well, and we also have, what are they called? Cherokee purple tomatoes. And they're going to be delicious, and they will go along with, oh, down there along that fence line we have tomatoes planted as well, along with sweet peas. And right here, and you can see that they're coming up, we have our kale plants. And over here, you can see them coming up. We have our beet plants. You can't see them coming up, I just planted them, but we have yellow squash and zucchini squash, and we have cucumbers, the long kind. And right here we have blackberries, thornless blackberries, and they are really good and large and sweet. And right here, thanks to Joshua, we have a kiwi plant, and it's already putting little kiwis on it. I wonder if you can even see those little guys, like right there. Awesome. And we have kale that's going to seed, and the best part of the whole plant is eat these guys right here. They are wonderful and delicious. And then of course we have our beets that are coming on down here. Planted these in the fall, they're coming up really great. We also have over here, oh, we have acorn squash and butternut squash planted right there. And right here we have spaghetti squash in these 2 rows. And in this row right here, we have cantaloupe. And got it in timing. It was just great because the weather's turning warm. And right here we have, I don't know if you can see it, but this is our fuyu, Japanese persimmon, and it's got all kinds of little fruit all over it. And over here we have our, I pruned them way back, but these are our muscadine. So they produce really, really well all, at the end of the year. And we have some kiwis, large kiwi plants right over there. And I think that just about covers it. Sure does. And before I finish this report, I want to show you what I'm doing to grow more Japanese persimmon trees. They're one of my most delicious fruits. And so I'm learning how and have learned how to graft very successfully, and I want to show you what I'm doing. So right now I'm chip bud grafting. I've taken this scion. It's just the end of a fuyu limb that has little buds on it. And I cut this off from that tree right over there. And that's a fuyu tree. Taking this scion, as it's called, and what I've done is I've cut, I can't see into my own camera, but I cut the bud off right down there. Yep, whoops, there we go. I cut the bud off of the scion, and I cut a little place into this rootstock, and I'm going to graft this bud right into, I can't see with my camera there how this is going, but I'm going to graft that right in to the place that I've cut and then wrap it with paratape. Wish I could have 3 hands to hold this, but we'll just see how it goes. And I've also spritzed it a little bit because I take a long time to do this, and because I'm videotaping this, I spritz it with water so that it doesn't dry out on me. Okay. So the chip bud graft that I've cut, see where I'm at, yeah, right there, is a perfect match. The cutout is a perfect match so that the little green layers, the cambium layer, is touching in the cut spot. The chip bud graft that I've cut off the scion fits perfectly into the little tree, the rootstock that I have here. And it has to do that in order to bond and be able to grow. And so that the little chip bud that I cut off and spliced it into this tree, this little tree, I have now taken paratape and secured it firmly and just wrapped it one time around the bud itself. And the bud is right there at the end of my finger. And it'll break through that real quick. And I say 2 to 3 weeks, that bud should be coming through. And I've done this last year. And let me see if I can show you. I put the chip bud graft last year into this little tree. And I put the bud right there, and the bud has sprung up and grown all the way up to this tree right here. So what I have here is a fuyu chip bud that I've grafted into, see where I'm at? Yeah, where I've grafted into the rootstock. And once I did that, then I cut off the top. Where's my finger? Yeah, I cut off the top of that tree so that it put all its energy into the chip bud graft, which it did really well. And so that's what I'm attempting to do this year again. This is another example of where I took a fuyu persimmon bud and grafted into some rootstock. All this happened last year. And this is how big that little tree was. I can't see because of the sun. Where am I? Yes. And the chip bud started growing, and growing and growing. And so you see this year it's already putting on some fresh leaves. Everything below this graft right here is American persimmon rootstock. Anything above that is the Fuyu persimmon tree, and worked really well. Matter of fact, I guess I probably had about a 90% success rate with my grafting. I'm not an expert at this. It's kind of hard, but I had all these rootstocks coming up, and so I got to practice. I got my scions early in the year, about March. Put them in the refrigerator, and then when these things started leafing out, then that's when I started grafting into them, when I knew that the sap was rising. And so anyway, it's a fun thing to do if you have opportunities to do something like that. And all of these rootstocks came from this Fuyu persimmon right here that died off. The wind got it and broke it down, and so I cut it down. And so it sent out all of these rootstocks. All of those things you see coming up were just rootstocks. And so I have grafted Hachiya and Fuyu persimmons, Japanese persimmons, into these trees, and they're all over the place, and I'm just waiting to see which ones are going to be really, really productive and grow really well, and then I'll cut out a bunch of the others. A lot of fun. And so there it is. That's our garden report. We enjoy planting all this stuff, growing all this stuff, eating all this stuff. It's just a whole lot of fun.